The company I run is called Playmas, and we're a business that is about 10-year-old this month, actually. So it's about a decade long now. Playmas is a SaaS business, and we target event promoters in the Caribbean and throughout the world. They typically throw a carnival event, a Caribbean carnival, and this originated in Trinidad, and it's a street party where the masqueraders is what we like to call them, dress in like elaborate costumes, so headpieces, backpacks. So our software manages the sale of those costumes, as well as we help with the inventory management for those costumes as well. So that very niche, but what we've found is that Caribbean diasporas throughout the entire world, right? Like they're in London, they're in New York, Miami, California, all throughout the world. So our system helps those event promoters across the world. So ever since young, I've loved to build things. And, you know, when I got a computer, when I was really much younger, I found out that, hey, I just need this one tool and I can build anything that I want. So I was really enthralled with it. So that's how I got into engineering. And then a couple of years from outside of school being an engineer, I, took this step to be an engineering leader. So that is to lead a group of engineers. And I thought that would be the most impactful career path for me. Because I've also loved sort of helping people grow, coaching them. So I found a lot of purpose in doing that, while also still trying to keep, my hands dirty, so to speak, in the coding and the everyday work as well. So from the technical standpoint, I mentioned that our company is about 10 years old now. So that brings with it significant tech debt that we sort of have been building up over the years. So one of them particularly is we made a choice very early on to use a technology called Parse. And I don't know if you remember Parse, but Parse was this company that Facebook bought, and they specialized in an Express Node.js framework where you were able to sort of use this plug and play, and they had an SDK on the clients, and it was all well and good back then, and it helped us to accelerate our development. But as with all things, the community has sort of moved on from Parse, and while it is open source now and it has some support, there's new shiny SDKs and platforms out there that we would like to move to increase velocity even further. So over the last couple of years, we've been slowly making that transition, and that has been challenging, complex. It's sort of like changing the engine of a plane while it's still flying. So that's a multi-year project that we're still working through at this time. And that's probably one of the largest challenges we've had, just to make that seamless for our customers. One of the first things I like to do is socialize the problem within the entire team, not just the engineering department, right? But the other large department that we have at Playmas is customer success. And their role really is to know our customers end to end, and to know them better than they know themselves, we like to say. So while it is an engineering challenge, I'd like to socialize these issues wide, to sort of gain their perspective as well. Like what parts of this work do we think is going to affect customers? What they want out of us are there opportunities so that we can improve latency? Where is the latency bad right now? So bring in a diverse body to sort of give feedback on the direction. And typically how we do that is through a PRD or a product requirement doc, We write it in plain English so everyone can understand it. We have meetings, sometimes multiple meetings on it. And then, from that, once we have that right, we move to feature scoping. And that usually is an engineering-driven initiative. So that's when we can nerd out, sort of ask the probing questions. And I like to lead that through asking questions of the team. Have we really dug in here? Trust but verify, right? And from that point, once we're all happy and we're all aligned, then we move into implementation. You can usually break this up, right? This is a multi-year project, so we have certain milestones that may span weeks or months, but that all comes together in the end, migrating off of PaaS, and that could take multiple years, but, at this point, we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So that is invigorating. It's really easy just to say a high-performing team has really smart people on it. But in my experience, that's not always the case, right? You can have brilliant people and they're just not motivated. Worse yet, they may not understand the vision, so they may be rowing in another direction than another really smart person. So it is really a combination of things. And at the deeper level, I like to think about when somebody comes to work at Playmas or any other company that I'm running, I really want to paint a picture or a purpose of why this company exists for. And, that engineer should be talented. He should meet that bar or even exceed it. But he needs to be brought in, or she needs to be brought into that purpose. It needs to, scratch the itch that they have deep down inside of them, right? They need to believe that the work that they're doing is going to make a difference. And if you can't connect with that person on that level, I don't think you can have a very high-performing team, So that is the individual, but there is also a team component as well. Do people get along with one another? Do they work alongside each other? Do they have the humility and the empathy to work with the CS team, right? That is a different function altogether. But those teams need to to mix and really communicate, to the level where it brings about success, right? So I think talent is one of them, drive, communication. And what it really boils down to is do they believe in the purpose? And I think once you have a mixture of all of those things, you get really high performing teams. One of the things that comes to mind, obviously, was the pandemic and going through that and some of the changes the world has experienced by going through that. A lot of people are working from home. I'm in Amsterdam right now and still working, right? So it affords us that type of lifestyle, but there's also something as managers and leaders that we need to be very aware of, and that, that water cooler talk, being in the office and connecting with people face to face doesn't really happen again, or it only happens on very purposeful occasions when you bring the team together for a gathering, right? So the challenge is, how do you reproduce that in some way? Or, how do you deal with not having that anymore? And it requires creativity, maybe you have meetings for social activities where you don't do work, and maybe you play games, or, you connect with your team in different ways. Perhaps you bring them together on a work trip and you have that face-to-face time then. But one of the things I would say is that those things are important. Those soft skills, it is easy to forget it in, the day-to-day activities and, producing output for the company. But those things are worthwhile investments. And I've done gatherings where we bring the team together and there is a glow after that happens, and things get done a lot easier. It's like having oil in the engine, so that is a challenge that we constantly face, and you have to be constantly creative. Something that works for one team may not work for the other team, right? So you need to know your team and put those forums in place that make sense. I think, just having that curiosity, the same passion and the same hunger that originally got me into engineering when I was young, I wanted to build things. I still feel that today, so quite often, sometimes on the weekends, I would just go and build something, right? Check out a new technology, read the forums, connect with people. What are people doing these days? How are they using AI? Are there new pipelines that, you can use? So I think just staying hungry and having a passion for this space, having a passion for building cool stuff, right? I think that really drives, the ability to stay on top of things. So. Engineering, nerding out and being passionate about that space and building stuff is not the same thing as leadership and people management. Those are two different skill sets, and approaching it in that way with that humility is important, because you can be a fantastic engineer and just not a great leader, right? And vice versa is also true, right? But the strongest leaders I've come across have a deep understanding for the space that we're in and are able to showcase that empathy. So when I transitioned into an engineering manager, I had to learn a lot of things, and I did feel a lot of times you were just tossed into the pool and you would just had to figure out how to swim. And it was difficult, because when you're an engineer, you can hit compile and feel that joy when things work out, right? Leadership is not like that. It's more akin to growing a plant or a tree. It is painstaking work that is difficult, and you don't see the results right away. And it's sometimes years of pouring into somebody to see a transformation happen or growth happen. And you need to be okay with that. And the rewards take a lot longer to manifest. But like everything in life, things that are, take long times are usually the ones that bring you a lot of joy. So, they're two different things. And, for anybody who is a deep engineer and loves that space, transition into leadership, just go into it with a sense of humility and a sense of curiosity and willing to learn. But those are just two different skill sets that you'll need to grow. And I've honestly gone, I wouldn't say a full circle, but I was very deep engineering. I transitioned to a people manager, and going into that leadership and managing people, I sort of removed myself, not consciously, but I did, from everyday coding and being very deep into the systems. And I got very involved in people management, promotions, and that whole cycle, coaching. But now I've come back all the way to sort of doing both of them at the same time. And that's honestly the way that I prefer it, because I feel like I'm able to add more value. But that initial step into it, it's really hard to do both of them at the same time until you get a handle, right? Until you're able to swim in that pool. So. So I had heard about Revelo through a friend, and then they kept popping up on my social feeds, and we really did have a need to scale up our engineering side, and we needed to do that quickly with a high degree of talent. So I took the step and partnered with Revelo. It was great getting to know you guys, because we were able to add them to our Slack instance, and they almost became part of a team, of our team, where we could have conversations with them, where after we interviewed candidate, we can sort of debrief with them, and they would understand our needs and really put forward strong candidates for us to interview. So I've had a great experience with you guys. I've had a great experience with Revelo. So when we hired our senior engineer from Revelo, the world seems like so long ago, and it was a year and a little bit ago, right? But the transformation with AI really, really started to become tenable, say November, December last year, And I think a lot has changed since then. We're obviously writing a lot less code. I don't think I've written code since last year, perhaps. So it is, our jobs have changed a lot. But while it has changed, like, I think the engineering function is still, alive and well. There are still a lot of challenges. We're just able to take on more of them. But the complex problems do remain. We just opened up a new rec with Revelo for an AI-assisted engineer, right? And this is a different role than I've ever hired for in my career, and I had to define it. It was all new, right? So this engineer, we're not doing lead code interviewing. We are doing interviewing and how they use AI to enhance their workflow. We're not looking for people who program. We're looking for people who can utilize AI effectively. That's challenging to sort of define. But we're stepping into this new world with Revelo, right? And I think it's the way that a lot of companies are going to go, especially startups. So. I'd say, depending on your needs and depending what you're looking for, I would say it's a slam dunk. Well, I would give it from Playmas' side, right? I would tell my story. We had a need for a senior engineer, and we had gone to market to look for this, and we probably interviewed 3 or 4 people. The quality bar just wasn't there. And we were able to partner with Revelo, talk to real people, have face-to-face interactions. Like I said, they become members of your team. They become your HR department, and for a small startup like that, like us, that's invaluable, right? They were able to walk us through that, and they put forward really great candidates. So I think we interviewed maybe 2 or 3, and we were able to find our guy, right? And once we were able to identify that, it went really quickly from that point onwards. So they've just been a really great partner. So I would say, if your needs, if you're the size business like us, where we have about 10 to 12 people, you don't have an HR department, partner with Revelo. They're able to bring really strong candidates to you. The interaction with them doesn't stop there, right? They are on your Slack instance, and you can message them whenever you want if you have a question, right? So I think it's worked out really well for us.